Bonjour, this is Emma at Words and Peace. Well, I haven't done a video for ages, and recently I saw a book tag called The Last Book and I thought that would be a cool idea to do a short video with this. And I'll show you, I found, by the way, this book tag at the Bookforager, and I'll put the link under the video. And for those 10 prompts, I'll show you some physical books I have and I'll show you screens online when I don't have the book on hand. So the first prompt is the last book I bought. So a few months ago, I went to a secondhand book sale and they had tons of classic sci-fi. So I kind of went a bit overboard and I bought a whole bunch. So on top of my pile is this one, The Alien Upstairs by Pamela Sargent. So I've never read it. I've never read anything by this author either. So let me know, by the way, for any of the books I'm going to present, if you've read them and what do you think about them. The second prompt is the last book I borrowed. So I recently went to my public library. I go there 2 or 3 times a week. I live walking distance from it and it's fantastic. But I don't know why suddenly the idea came to me, finally, after all these years, to check if they had the Hillary Quinn magazine, and they have it on paper. So I took off the, I think it's July, August issue. Yeah, because at my public library, you can never check out the latest issue, obviously, so everyone can look at it on place, but you can't borrow it home. So this is the previous one. And this is so cool. And the format is like, like a newspaper. I like the newspaper type paper. It's really fun. And I've read a few stories there. Some actually by Alice Arisugawa, whom I had never read before. So I'm going to read more by this author. Okay, and I love this magazine. This is, I think, the oldest mystery magazine in the US. So you have a whole bunch of short stories, but you also have nonfiction, you have some reviews. Sounds fantastic. I mean, all the stories I've read so far were really amazing. The third prompt is the last book I was gifted, and this is really exciting. I have I teach French online and I have students from all over the world, and one of my students lives in Mexico, and she wrote a novel recently. So she sent it to me. And that's so cool. Estela. And it's in Spanish and I can read Spanish as well. So it's a mystery. So I'm just reading a few pages a day because there are a few words that I'm not familiar with, especially Mexican Spanish sounds very different from, sound different from Spanish from Spain, and that's the Spanish I learned because when you're in France, you always learn the Spanish from Spain, Castellano. And then the prompt number 4 is the last book I gave to somebody. So I need to share you my screen on this because I obviously no longer have it, or maybe I do have a copy somewhere. But anyway, this is a spiritual orthodox book on human beings, spiritual anthropology. Olivier Clément is a famous French orthodox author who passed away a few years ago. And this is probably the best anthropology, especially biblical or Christian anthropology book I've ever read. So deep and looking at all the different facets of anthropology, as you can imagine. Excellent. And it's only 160 pages. And it's Olivier Clément's style is very deep, but at the same time accessible in his way of talking, writing. Prompt number 5 is the last book I started. This is okay, so you have 2 ways of reading this title. You can read it Woman's Word or Woman Sword, and that's on purpose. The author does mention that she did this play on word. This is really cool. You can maybe see the subtitle. is what Japanese words say about women. So the author, she looks at, I can show you, there are different parts about, I don't know if I can show you this, sorry, fine, maybe it's probably too small. Female identity, then she goes into girlhood to wedding, married life, motherhood, work outside the home, and sexuality and aging. But what she does is like, uh, maybe I should look at this. There was one cool thing. Anyway, I forgot. Um, she takes an expression and she gives the kanji and how you read it in pronunciation, and she explains how this word is used in Japanese and all the different expressions around this word and what it reveals about how women, are considered in society. It is a fantastic book, especially if you know a bit of Japanese. I just know a little bit of Japanese, but enough to really appreciate this book. It's really excellent. And so the author is, sorry, Kittredge Cherry. Okay, woman's word or woman sword. By the way, I didn't give you the name of my student, the author. It's Fanny Orrantia Dworak. But all those books, actually, I will list them and list some link under the video after. Sorry, you can see I haven't done a video for a while. It's not super organized here. Then prompt number 6, the last book I finished. So this is really exciting. This is the book I finished. So Finn Family Moomin Troll. This is the book number 3, as you can see in the Moomin series. Last month there was a Moomin week and I read 2 books. I totally recently discovered the Moomins because they were not translated in French, I think, when I was a kid. And plus, I didn't have access really to library when I was a young kid. I lived in a tiny village, 250 people, no library. My school library was pathetic. So anyway, so I'm discovering classics for kids today in my 50s. And actually, lots of Americans don't seem to really know the Moomins. Okay, they were written by Tove Jansson in she's from Finland, but she wrote the book in Swedish, and you can see this one is 1948. The first book was during the war. So I love so much book 1 and 2, and same thing, I'm going to give you a link to my post on that. So I love so much the first 2 books, I decided to go on with the series, and they are, now I forgot the exact number, sorry. They are 9 books in the series. So I forgot exactly how this happened. I think I must have mentioned on my blog that I wanted to go on with the series and ask if somebody else was interested. So Mallika from Literary Potpourri said yes. So we are doing a buddy read. We just did a buddy read. Actually, tomorrow will be the last post. So same thing. I'll give you links on my blog. It's really fun because we take turn posting about the different chapters. And if you've experienced buddy reads before, you know how enriching it is as a reading experience. And so each month we're going to do a different book to go on through the series. So I think starting October 9, we're going to post on the 4th book in this series. Prompt number 7 is the last book. I rated 5. This was an awesome book. It's called Astronauts, Women on the Final Frontier by Jim Ottaviani and illustrator in Maris Wicks. This is actually a graphic novel, even though it's really nonfiction. Obviously, you can see with the title. So it really focuses on the first women astronauts, American astronauts. Though there's a few mentioned on the very first one was actually Russian. And this book is beautiful. Actually, I started reading this book because I've read a couple more same thing, graphic novels, nonfiction by Jim Ottaviani, and he does a great job. So I decided to look at my library if we had any other books by him, and I found this one. and it's beautiful, and there's tons of data. He did an amazing job of research of reading other nonfiction books on these women, but also going through the NASA website, where they do have a lot of recordings of interviews, for instance, when they hired these women, things like that. So we combine all this data in a beautiful, beautiful book. Yeah, and the illustrations are fantastic. And I think he conveyed really well how passionate these women were. And I was thinking, if I were a young kid loving physics, math, and whatnot, maybe that book could give me the desire to do that, or at least to work with NASA. Yeah, it's really fascinating book. I think that could be a good book to give to your children to read if you have children. Then the last book I rated 2, it's not technically the last book, but the last book that's available in English. And I read it in French, actually, with one of my students, but I'll just give you directly the English title. So Little Horses of Tarquinia. And Marguerite Duras is an amazing author. She's won lots of awards in France. She passed away years ago, but I enjoyed a lot Moderato Cantabile, and you probably know The Lover, and other books by her. But anyway, don't waste your time with this one. It's couples going together on vacation to Italy, and it's boring. They drink a lot. The dialogues are really not too hot, and they're complaining about everything and anything. And there's some dynamics between the couples that started before the book, and we don't really get all the info on that, so it's kind of frustrating that as well. And yeah, nothing really, no, very disappointing. So the last book, now for prompt number 9, the last book I did not finish, and I'm very, very sorry. This is The First Day Murder Club. I really, really wanted to love this book. I love Richard Osman. He has a wonderful game show on Scottish TV, and they are available on YouTube. Well, I think it's stopped last year, maybe. But anyway, I watched lots of them. He's a fun host, and it was a great show. And I usually love mysteries, but this is actually cozy mystery, and yeah, I used to read a lot of cozy mysteries. My reading tastes have evolved. I am sure same for a lot of you. Sorry, I realize my my mouse is on top of my picture. It's been going on for a long time, I guess. Anyway, I hope it didn't distract you. So yeah, my reading tastes have evolved along the years, and now and cozy mysteries don't really do it for me. And I thought they were way too many characters. I kind of understand that he wants to present lots of characters because they're going to come up throughout the series, I guess, but I thought it was a lot. And if I listened to it for 20% of the book, like nothing was really happening. And if it's a mystery for me, well, you don't want to wait too long until really you get to something. If it's literary fiction and nothing happens, fine. But if it's a mystery, well, things need to happen. Otherwise, for me, it's not really a mystery. It does. That's my own, standard. You don't want to wait too long. Uh, okay. So yeah, I've seen he just started another series. So let me know if you read his new series, and if it's different, what do you think about it? Yep. And finally, we are ready at our last prompt, the last book I listened to. And I'm not going to tell too much to you about this one not because it's not great. I loved it a lot. It's Time and Again by Jack Finney. It was published in 1970. And so I listened to it because I'm going to take part in the 1970 club. And, it's a club hosted by Stuck in a Book. And same thing, I'll give you links for that. And so the point is that they organize this event 2 or 3 times a year. Now I forgot, at least twice. And the idea is they pick a year, and then during that week, we all going to share books that we read that were published during that week. So I started ahead because there's a whole bunch of books I want to read for that event that were published in 1970. So I'm not going to give you my review today. I can just read to you my verdict because I did write my review. But so my verdict is here, sorry. So it is a captivating blend of sci-fi travel and rich historical fiction, offering a thought-provoking exploration of 1882 New York while posing intriguing philosophical questions. I can just say actually that the main character, whose name is Sai, yeah, he's going to be part of an experiment, and they want to try if we can send back somebody in the past. And then, but he's supposed just to be an observer and of what's going on at the time. But there could be more than that. But what's I mentioned the historical fiction element. What's really fascinating, and even though I do not know New York, there are tons of great details about how New York was, all the architecture that changed since the late 1800s and today, and also how people lived, different little day-to-day activities. And so I thought that was really fascinating for this, and the narrator was also excellent. I listened to it. Okay, I think that's it for today. Sorry if it's kind of a bit awkward video, but it was I think it was fun to do, and I'm looking forward, maybe if you can share your own book tags on that. I mean, your own answers to, if you do the same book tag, either on a video, and I've seen there are lots of other YouTube videos actually who did it, and or on your blog. Okay, so see you soon, I hope.